Jaime from Inky&Scrappy back with my Craft Roulette Challenge number 225 Grumpy Dragon comic colored using Whimsy stamps. So I started with some Distress Oxides in my color palette that I created for one of my Valentine cards this season. And, so it fit with the Craft Roulette Valentine's color parameter, the pinks and the reds. And, of course, I like the teals with my Valentine's colors. So I inked up Whimsy Stamps comic background die here in multiple colors. So I started with Lumberjack Plaid, and then I think I did it in Spun Sugar possibly, and then I did two of them in Mermaid Lagoon. I ended up making 2 cards because if I'm going to do the work, I might as well do it twice, right? So because I knew I was going to cut out my comic, like parts of my comic strip background parts, it's just easier to do 2 card fronts at the same time. You waste less paper, I guess. You could definitely, I've done like stamping it multiple times on the same sheet of paper. It's just easier to me to like stamp it solid colors and then cut out what I need to cut out. I did miss my stamp with the ink on it a couple of times, I don't think I did it with the red one, but I did it with the pink one, and it worked better. And I did it with both of the blue ones, I think. The one worked better than the other one. The second one, I think, got a little bit more on the blurry side, so I over-watered it. So just use caution when you're using the water with it. And then, of course, don't spray your ink pad. Let's see. Other than that, what else were my parameters today? Oh, it's my 52nd submission to Craft Roulette from, yeah. I haven't made videos for all of them. I've made videos for some of them. Some of them I haven't posted the videos, like in the actual Craft Roulette catalog. I've just done the videos, and then, it's me. I forget to follow through with all the extra steps sometimes. So it happens. So once I had everything stamped here, I'm just going to go and cut around my parts that I want to pull from one to put over the top. So I kept my blue as my base pieces on both of them, and then I cut out kind of the things that are easier to cut out on that comic background, the comic background page. So the straight lines are definitely a lot easier to cut out than the other things, and so I kind of did that and went that route. I did cut out kind of the inside of the new story one, figuring that the blue will kind of go around it to get a two-tone effect on there. But it really didn't take me a whole lot of time to cut everything out. I might have been on Crafty Chat at the same time, so I may have gotten distracted here and there. But sometimes it's just good to get on a crafty call with a crafty friend and, you get inspired, or, it's like body doubling, when I need to. So I kind of took my markers and figured out what colors were going to work for my actual letter fill-ins there to kind of figure if I could get them to go. Because I didn't want to sit there and cut out each one of the letters. I was, being, I don't want to say lazy, but I just didn't want to have to cut out all of the letters. So I do have the coordinating die with that one, which cuts out that little center part. So I ran that through the die cut machine before I added any layers on it. I didn't want to have to squish anything down. So once I had that cut out, then I came back in with my added pieces here, and I just started building up my card front. So pretty quick and easy to just layer everything over the top. It's one of my favorite tricks if you're going to do like an image on something and you want layout. Stamp it first and then just lay your pieces over the top. I've done it in a couple of my videos on my other channel, which is my Potty Mouth Crafters Society channel. And so it works really well for placement, and you don't have to worry about getting things lined up properly if you've already got a blueprint down for you. So I just kind of went back and forth with my color options. I kind of wanted to keep, my options. I didn't want too many colors to be here and there, but I also knew I was going to color my letters pink on the one and red on the other. So I'm coming in with a, what are they called? I only have 3 of them and they came in a grab bag. is it Deco brush markers or the Karin markers? I think they're Karin markers, right? So I did not watercolor with them or add any water. I just colored straight with them. I didn't want to use my alcohol markers on top of my Distress Oxides. It's not recommended, and you can ruin your marker tips. So that's why I kind of didn't even look at those. I definitely was like, I'll use the Karin markers on this one. And then I did find a different red one. But I added a couple of colors in some of the other areas. So I'm bringing in, I think this one is a Jane Davenport, maybe? I don't know. It's called Thriller Red. So it worked with the red color that I was using, and it wasn't an alcohol marker. So I was just looking. I would have pulled out a Crayola red marker at this point for this because it would have worked, right? I'm just filling in the inside of the letters. It added a pop of color to the comics part of this one without, you know, a whole lot of extra cut time. So, and then of course, just adding in around the little $sign up in the corner because I wanted, you know, more color than what was there. So, and then of course, I did decide to fill in the little the numbers in the comic number up in the corner as well. So for my stamped images, I'm bringing in Whimsy stamps Grumpy Dragon. So I picked this one up last year, like late last year, and I hadn't used it until I did a live with it, I do believe, with Kate on my Potty Mouth Crafters Society YouTube channel, and I totally enjoyed coloring them. They're fun. They're definitely fun to put with some snarky quotes, to put, you know, just the regular old grumpies, but it was definitely fun to kind of play with it. I think my first one that I did with these kind of was like in one of the like 4 square cutout A2. I think I did an A2 shaker with them, and it was kind of fun to just color and play with them and stick, you know, you can, I realized you could do more with them than I was thinking you could do with them just because of how they're placed on the edge. And so I've been kind of toying with that whole peeking out of things and wrapping around and sticking out and or over images and things. So I would definitely say they're cute. My next purchase from Whimsy Stamps will definitely be Wonky Donkey. Yeah, I think he was out of stock last time I placed a Whimsy order, and so I didn't pick him up yet. But he's on my list because I think he would go great with some snarky sentiments as well. So again, I'm using my color palette that I did earlier in February or maybe even the end of January for one of my cards. I will have it on my blog at InkyandScrappy.com on the side panel or the drop down menu depending upon where you're at. There's an Uhuhu color marker blends page, and I share all of my marker blends there. I do try to do both the Oahu and the Honolulu, which is on my color map sheets. So big letters are the Honolulu, the little letters or lowercase letters are the Oahu ones on my newer color palette. So I think I have it marked on the page. So because I created this color palette without putting them on there right away, I will, you know, usually I try to put them all in one spot. And if I don't have a match in the two color or in the two marker types, I usually do a bracketed marker color if I can find one that's going to be similar. Please check your blends to make sure that they're going to work. You know, I just do it by looking at my charts and kind of figuring out, but it's not the blend that I use. So I just try to give you some ideas that might work in place of that if you don't have both sets of markers like I have. But other than that, I just kind of came in and I do darkest to lightest. That's usually how I color all of my things. I like to say I'm a lazy colorer because I know traditional alcohol marker color, and you're supposed to color the whole image with the lightest color, and then you add in the darkest and go from there, and then you do a second layer. I'm as lazy as can be when it comes to it. I want it to look good, but I want it to be fast, and I don't want to have to spend a lot of time. You know, it's for a card, depending upon who's getting it. how much time I'm going to put into that coloring. And usually it's more for my enjoyment than for who's getting it. I did add dot detail to these, adding that darkest color in some dot detail, and then I took the lighter color and added some more dot detail in the lighter areas. It just kind of gives it that look of scales on the dragon. And I did actually come in with my Jelly Roll pen this time and added some white specks as well. I saw a post about adding in the white flecks and kind of making something look like glitter. The lady did an amazing job. It was just like a picture tutorial. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of try that, adding the white flecks on there for kind of that glittery look without actually using glitter. So I will come in with my scissors on these, and I cut, the first one I cut straight on the line there, and then of course I definitely made sure that I cut apart those things. That was why I picked the 2 dragons that I picked, because I knew that I could get them to fit kind of in that little comic window there. So of course I went with, did I tell you? Well, okay, because I can't remember where I'm at. And of course I started voicing over and then I erased and went back. So the parameters this week were an A2 card. So this is going to end up being an A2 card, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. The color combos was, we've talked about this one, was the Valentine. So I pulled in my newest Valentine color combo that I created. And then what was the element? February was the element. So I have a random holiday calendar, and of course Wednesday the 26th is tell a fairy tale on Wednesday. That's the day. So of course I figured the comic kind of went with that fairy tale. Of course the dragon is usually found in fairy tales, so that's how I brought in that element. And then the last one is, the random is metallic or foil. So I am going to bring in some metallic little sprinkles later on. I had thought about bringing in some metallic for behind them, but I opted not to do too much metallic on this one. So I'm bringing in the Hey Grumpy for my first card here. I tucked the little, I ended up cutting the dragon apart a little bit more so I could make it look like he's peeking in and through that comic front center. I did kind of think about putting this one on a speech bubble, also from Whimsy, but I ended up deciding that it fit just fine in that little, because I figured it's probably somebody telling him, hey, Grumpy, instead of him saying, hey, Grumpy. So it was kind of why I went without the speech bubble on this one. I do bring in this speech bubble on the next one. And so I will glue this one all down and, of course, stamp on it after I have my image in there. Just because the stamp was close to fitting and not quite fitting. And so I wanted to make sure that it was going to fit exactly where I wanted it. So where I didn't use the speech bubble on this one, I do bring it in on the other one. So I opted to just kind of put the sentiment right in there on, I guess it really didn't need a sentiment on this one because there's so much lettering on the actual comic front part, but I thought it would be fun to kind of throw a little sentiment in there. So of course I added the Hey Grumpy. Using some Versa Fine Onyx Black ink on that one. And then I pulling in that metallic element, just looked kind of through my stash for either some pink or some teals, or in this case, some Christmas reds from Trinity Stamps. I think it's their classic Christmas mix, sequence mix. And I just kept it simple and just added 3 little ones there. I kind of go over to make sure I have all of my parameters met, and I thought I was done at this point. Of course I wasn't. We all know this, right? Okay, so I'm going to come in with my second card and kind of finish this one. I kind of played with how to cut him a little bit. I cut off the tip of his tail. I think the rest, for the most part, just kind of works. And I wasn't as fussy with my cutting on this one. I did cut out, some of the areas just so I could bend it here and there. And then I'm going to add in that little tail overhanging the bottom edge here. Just a teeny tiny little bit. So it kind of brings that dragon through the front. I just think it's so fun to kind of pull him in and make him look like he's hanging over the edge. I know. It's probably going to be happening a lot because I think it's adorable. Anyways, so I add this one on to my card base, and then I add in my speech bubble for this one. I kind of looked at my paper options and went with that tealy color. I liked that one better, so of course I'm going to find a scrap. And then I will just stamp on this one. So I maybe should have die cut it first. I stamped it and then die cut it, and the die cut like wiggled as I was running it through the die cut machine. Yeah, it happens. I just left it because, in all honesty, it's not the actual sentiment that's going on the front of this one. I maybe have a different sentiment on there, but it's not family friendly for Craft Roulette. It's definitely my Potty Mouth Crafters Society Facebook group version of our Craft Roulette challenge. So we take Craft Roulette and then we don't have any, it doesn't have to be family friendly. It can be whatever, and it's kind of fun to just play without having any limitations on our creativity. Sometimes adult words are needed, and we definitely enjoy them over there. Nothing to win, really, just us kind of playing. So I try to do a card for both and have fun with it. So anyways, there are my card fronts, and I have all of my parameters met. And then, of course, I need to add some glossy accents onto my little dragon eyes. And, of course, so, because you gotta have those glossy eyes. I'm going to add extras. I always thought I was done, and then I just keep coming back for more. I did finish the insides, and, of course, I went with Snarky. So those will be on. I didn't actually get them photographed before I took everything down. So those ones will be posted on my Instagram feed if you are interested, at Inky&Scrappy. If you're interested in joining Potty Mouth Crafters Society group on Facebook, you have to answer the questions and be over the age of 18 because, adult content. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Go play Craft Roulette and, see what you can come up with. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And don't forget, you can get 10% off at Whimsy on your first order using coupon code Inky&Scrappy. Bye!